Sunnybrook, West Brookfield, Massachusetts, June 1999. 3 green graces. 3 ancient apple trees dance in the midday breeze sweeping over the lawn and lift their summer skirts to show us silver linings. 3 green graces, long limbs sculpted by seasons of country time, joined in a circle, offering their lovely shapes and still lush tresses and centuries of fruitfulness. Welcome to the latest floating poetry broadcast, and thank you for leaning in, for taking this quiet time along your day or night to join me and other eager listeners. It's good to have you and feel you here as I do. And for show 176, today, coming to you live from the swaying shores of Rhode Island. This is your poet and poetorialist, Colin Goedecke, a voice for living our days more fully, more lively, more poetically, and yes, more footloosely. Last week's broadcast was on the joys of books and reading, real books and really engaged reading, about the pleasures, comforts, discoveries, and inspirations books can and do bring us, the myriad worlds, and realms, and theaters of thought and feeling they evoke, open us to, transport us to, and have for people of every stripe and civilization and culture since there were books. And as many of you know and take time to savor the deep satisfaction of sitting or laying back to read in a cozy chair or a bed on a couch or a park bench on a beach, a porch, a train, a plane, or a table for one. Well, there was quite a lot of interest in this particular program, and I take that as a very encouraging sign because we cannot afford to lose sight of the value of good books and reading in our lives and in our world. Well, this week, shall we dance? And not just dance in the most literal way, but all the other way dancing happens, as when our hearts or spirits dance, our imaginations, nature's dances, from the waltz of the wind and the trees to the sambas of the sun or moon on the water, the ballets of birds in flight. Some of you know I did do a first program around the theme back in June 22nd of 2022, actually, numerologically interesting. That was show 112. It was called Let's Dance, but I decided there was much more for us to explore and share and stir us in lifting ways. So here we are. I've choreographed a dance program, we could say, of cultural commentary, quotes, poetry, and anecdotes to pas de deux through together. So what do you say, friends? Shall we dance? In the New Jersey countryside, autumn 2018, an experience of mine. Very poetic. A dance for a doe. A waltz in the woods, on a winding walk, listening to a sway of music and looking up at a doe looking up from her grazing. Fancy our meeting. Then bowing to her wide, wondering eyes, and dancing for her, slowly, cap in hand, for some lovely minutes, finishing with another graceful bow and an adieu as she slipped away through the trees and I stepped lightly along home. At Alice Tully Hall, New York City, 1998, the dancing organist. Mr. Herrick is dancing with Mr. Bach, from fugues to fantasias, feet nimbling over the keys under his seat as his hands keep rhythm to the music, moving together to the left and right, now apart, gliding weightlessly back and forth, with an occasional step on a stop, while the shining choir of pipes overhead sings out and on. The dancing organist. Behind the bright blue doors on DeGraw Street, Cobble Hill, Brooklyn, May 2016. Rumba for piano and ukulele. Let's be sensuous. Bend our knees, sway our hips. Flirt barefoot across the floor in 4/4 time. Eyes on half-closed eyes, half-parted lips. Quick, slow, side to side. Paracadoso me voy, vas, vamos. David Tucker, the dancer. Class is over, the teacher and the pianist gone, but one dancer in a pale blue leotard stays to practice alone, without music, turning grand jetés through the haze of late afternoon. Her eyes are focused on the balancing point no one else sees as she spins in this quiet, made of mirrors and light. A blue rose on a nail, then stops and lifts her arms in an oval pause and leans out a little more, there, in slow motion upon the air. Lovely, the dancer, David Tucker, new to me. Thank you. Thank you, David Tucker. Mitch Roberson, every day we are dancers. It begins with the lewd Macarena each of us performs in the shower. Then the modified twist we are hip to with that ever-absorbent partner, the towel. And onto the funky chicken of stepping into underwear, the shimmy of stretching into hose. There is no music, none that anyone can hear, yet no one can escape the boogie. Outside beneath the disco ball of the sun, no one is a wallflower, not even the two lugs in the crosswalk lugging a huge mirror, one at either end pressing his cheek into the cheek of his own reflection, arm extended, hand clasping his own hand in a tango, more about control than passion, one couple leading himself forward, the other slide-stepping backwards across the intersection, made double by the infinite burden they shoulder together. At the entrances of buildings, even those afflicted with two left feet find grace with a stranger in a revolving door, where, regardless of gender, we share a pause and glance to communicate who will lead, who will follow, close to each other, but never quite touching. Wonderful, also newer to me, Mitch Roberson. Every day we are dancers. We are, aren't we, in other ways. David Wagner, the best slow dancer. Under the sagging clotheslines of crepe paper by the second string of teachers and wallflowers in the school gym across the quay through the glitter of mirrored light, 3-second rule forever suspended, you danced with her, the best slow dancer, who stood on tiptoe, who almost wasn't there in your arms, like music she knew just how to answer, the question mark of your spine, your hand in hers, the other touching that place between her shoulders, trembling, your countless feet light-footed, sure to move as they wished wherever you might stagger. Without her she turned in time, she knew where you were. In time she turned her body into yours, as you moved from thigh to secrets, to breast, yet never where you would be for all time, never closer than your cheek against her temple, her ear, just under your lips, that tried all evening long to tell her you weren't the worst one, not the boy whose mother had taught him to count, to murmur over and over, 1 slide, 2 slide, 3 slide, now no longer. The one in the hallway after class, the scuffler, the double clubfoot gawker, the mouth breather with the wrong haircut, who would never kiss her but see her dancing off with someone or other, older, more clever, smoother, dreamier, not waving a sister, somebody else's partner, lover, while you went floating home through the air to lie down lighter than air, in a moonlit shimmer, alone, to whisper yourself to sleep. Remember. Thank you, David Wagner, the best slow dancer from his collection, traveling light. I thought to pair with that Rita Dove's poem from her collection American Smooth, which is also the title of the poem, American Smooth. We were dancing. It must have been a foxtrot or a waltz, something romantic, but requiring restraint, rise and fall, precise execution as we moved into the next song without stopping, two chests heaving above a 7-league stride, such perfect agony one learns to smile through, ecstatic mimicry being the sine qua non of American Smooth. And because I was distracted by the effort of keeping my frame, the leftward lean, head turned, just enough to gaze out past your ear, and always smiling, I didn't notice how still you'd become until we had done it, for 2 measures, 4, achieve flight, that swift and serene magnificence, before the earth remembered who we were and brought us down. Thank you, Rita Dove. Beautiful. Beautiful. Rich Murphy, Casanova's Bossa Nova. I like that title, Casanova's Bossa Nova. Sounds like something I would do. The Dance Shoes, Seduction and Coercion, owned by male feet, roam floors that beg for chandeliers, in search of flat-footed beauty and a bed, wherever they might be. The handsome conversation attracts female followers trading on the smiles of curves. The next steps are dizzying and leave dresses dipped and hung over with a purse and heart opened at their tops. The wallflowers can't say when the tango with the rag doll began, but witnesses toasted a conga line of would-be brides that transcend a retirement community in Florida, each giving up their precious moments on earth to fandango's flim-flam. Thank you, Rich Murphy. Well, as we dance across this time and space together, here's some questions for you. And I'll have a sip of agua fresca first. Okay. A question about what memory you have of a first dance. Where were you? Who did you dance with? What was it like? How did you feel? What do you most remember about that first dance? The dreamiest dance you ever had, like floating on a cloud, like Deborah Kerr in The King and I, or jubilantly like Fred Astaire in the film Damsel in Distress. Amazing scene of him dancing solo with instruments around him. And he's dancing with. How about the wildest dance you ever had, and why you felt so free, even tribal? And tell me, have you kept that flame of wildness alive, kept it kindled? Was there a time you had to face the music, as that classic 1936 song goes, and dance, no matter what, while there's time and chance? Remember that song? There may be trouble ahead, but while there's music and moonlight and love and romance, let's face the music and dance. Yeah. What friends makes your mind dance? What makes your heart dance? What makes your spirit dance? Your soul? What moves your whole body to dance? When were you dancing last? And when did you last really savor a dance, maybe be enchanted by one? I have a poem about that a little later for you. And what about being touched by the way the sun or moonlight danced on a body of water or a table or a face? The way a breeze danced over a meadow or the surface of the ocean, or through curtains in a room, or on a terrace. The way the rain danced on a pond, or the sand, or a sidewalk, or a rooftop. The way birds dance in swirls of murmurations in the air, their beautiful aerial ballets. The way a song can dance in your ears, your heart, and long after, years or decades after it first played and filled you, moved you. The way vivid memories, vibrant moments can dance in your mind or through your dreams. And the way, dear listeners, the way you're dancing through your entire life, yes, especially your lifelong dance. I was curious. I know quite a few by certainly name and having danced some of them, but I said, I wonder what all the other dance styles are, and both other countries, other styles. So here are some. There's lots of them, but I just called out a few for you. They're really fun. American dances: the cakewalk, stepping, tap dancing, jazz dancing, moonwalking, belly dancing, gypsy dancing, Bharat Natyam. Those are under Oriental dances in Wikipedia, anyway. Ceremonial dances: the haka of New Zealand, so potent, kagura, Sufi whirling, rain dancing, soul dances and disco dances: the boogaloo, the boogie, the bump, the mashed potato, the shimmy, the watusi. I've never danced that. Have you danced the watusi? We have to figure that out. Free and improvised dances, ecstatic dancing. I've done that actually once with Gabrielle Roth. That was incredible. Just remembered that now, actually. Modern dance, historical dances, ballet, Baroque dancing, medieval dancing, Latin dances, East Coast swing, mambo, rumba, cha-cha, corridos, foro. Don't know that one, but that sounds interesting. I have to look that up, actually. The merengue, the milonga, salsa, the samba, paso doble, zapateado. There's both Mexican and Spanish, that is. Novelty and fad dances: the bossa nova, the bunny hop, the conga line, the jitterbug, the turkey trot, the twist. Social dances, country dances, square dances, barn dances. How about street dances? The cat daddy, the Harlem shake, the turfing, flexing, crumping with a K, jaywalking. Don't know any of those. Swing dances: the Big Apple, the Carolina shag, the Charleston. Love that one. I went to Charleston, back to my old shack in Charleston, Charleston. Hang my hat up on the rack in Charleston, Charleston. I could Charleston all the way till I land in someone's empty arms. Oh, that's fun. The Lindy Hop, Western swing. Yeah, that's good. Other dances: Bollywood dancing, calypso, fire dancing, flamenco, flying men dance, liturgical dancing. Yeah, and on and on. So there you go. There's lots of dancing we could get up to. All right. Another David Wagner poem, delightful one about a little boy at a burlesque show. I don't think they exist anymore, but they were a thing of a time. This is the fan dance. This is the ladies would dance with just a fan, very provocatively, or some kind of bubble. The fan dance. I was 7 and Sally Rand wasn't wearing anything. She was up there dancing with 2 quivery pink fans like ostrich wings, and she was holding one around in back of her and the other in front of some of her, but was taking turns switching them back and forth as she peeked out like a bird who'd lost her feathers but had found some others and wasn't quite sure where or how to put them on. Did they belong here or there? But they wouldn't stay there or here while she was turning in slow circles to violins, and if you were quick, you could see through the rosy light something like one breast from halfway behind and half a rose pink behind before another side of another breast, and the other half behind had come around to disappear at the rosier pink ends of feathers, and then she was gone off stage. And my small mother was leading me and my big rosy-faced father up the aisle and out together onto the midway of the century of progress and saying, "I don't think David should have seen that." My father with his head down saying, "It was rather suggestive." And I, who hadn't suggested anything, ate Jack Armstrong candy in the back seat with my Buck Rogers ray gun going zap and zap, zap, zap all the way home. David David Wagner. Thank you. That was fun. I can picture it all. Well, this next piece was inspired some nostalgia in me, and it was inspired by a friend of mine who was he may still be alive. I haven't talked to him in forever. A British accordionist that I knew, Tony Compton. I wrote this back in New York City in March of 2001. I'm going to have to see if I can find him again and send him this again. The Accordion's Song. The accordion, the bellows of jaunty old French and Italian fellows, conjuring up left-bank cafes smiling with lovers and handsome roués, breezy nights under striped awnings, soft candlelights. Old-world days we imagine living in, drinking in, days of berets and gay Parisians, of Fellini-filmed Romans and sun-skinned Sicilians, dancing days long gone but suddenly recalled by the sweet and carefree breathing of an old accordion song. Out to you, Tony Compton. Well, I did mention a couple of films, and I was recalling so many others with marvelous dance scenes, and you may have some favorites. Well, this is from the WashingtonPost.com, the best dance scenes in movies from 2018. What do dance scenes add to a movie? Unspeakable bliss, for starters. Dancing starts when dialogue fails, when lovers need to move beyond conversation, when conflicts boil past negotiation, when joy can't be expressed in any other way than by leaping into the air on a trumpeter's high note. With the rise of movie musicals in the early part of the 20th century, dancing moved easily from stage to screen, becoming bigger, more potent, ever more spectacular, and a lasting love affair with the movie-going public was born. It's still going on. That's true. It's going on with me, for sure. Maybe with you. So there were a number of them. There were like 13 or 20 or something, but I just plucked out a few that I especially resonate with. And that absolutely is top of my list is Swing Time, 1936. Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers, and especially the Never Gonna Dance scene. If you haven't seen that or don't remember that, go to YouTube, look out Never Gonna Dance, Swing Time, and take that in. That's just pure magic. So here it says, there are no greater dance musicals than the ones Fred and Ginger made together because they accomplish so much so beautifully. Their dances are artistic, emotional, and inventive. The music is superb. Cole Porter, Irving Berlin, Jerome Kern, George Gershwin. The costuming and set design create a stylish whole. And they aren't mere interludes. What Astaire and Rogers communicate through dance deepens the story. To pick the pinnacle among their 10 films isn't easy, but my choice is their final waltz in Swing Time. Why? Because we'll think of Astaire and Rogers forever as a unit, falling in love on the dance floor. And this dance expresses something profound about their bond. It's about the perils of breaking it. They begin by simply walking together. Their mood is blue, but the sexual tension is red hot. Through a precise mirroring of movements, Rogers shows Astaire the kind of intimate soulmate he'll lose if he doesn't fess up about his feelings. Astaire senses this and grows desperate. He spins her around dizzily, her dress whipping like a flag at sea. Then the cliffhanger. She whirls out the door, leaving him and us bereft and dying to see how the movie ends. Swing Time. Then how about Stormy Weather, 1943, the jump and jive scene. Incredible. Fayard and Harold Nicholas, also known as the Nicholas Brothers, a pair of miracles in tap shoes. They hoofed their way from the Cotton Club to Hollywood, where their fans included Astaire, Gene Kelly, and other dance greats who marveled at their skill, daring, and sheer brilliance. This scene is the consummate joy fest. They dart through Cab Calloway's orchestra, a skate atop the drums and piano, and end it all by plunging down a flight of stairs, leapfrogging buoyantly over each other to land in the splits, and then springing up to do it all again. They shot it all in one take. It is phenomenal and wonderful, wondrous. Singing in the Rain, 1952. Is there any more beloved dance scene on film than Gene Kelly's inspired Splash Fest? This is the dance anthem for that inescapable experience of a thorough cosmic drenching. The answer? Enjoy it. Spin through puddles, gamble in the gutters, play a brass band in your head, and soak up every drop. Kelly was constantly experimenting, and although he whipped up more technically dazzling numbers in other movies, none is more uplifting or enduring than this one. Yes, indeed. An American in Paris, 1951. Gene Kelly, Leslie Caron. The final ballet scene. West Side Story, 1961. The America scene. Great dance fills this entire movie, but this scene stands out for the neat layering of Latin motifs, bullfighting, flamenco, mambo, and the exuberant staging of a gender war. And one more to share from this piece, The Red Shoes, 1948, with Anton Walbrook, one of my favorite actors. Within this masterful film about the flaming passions of artists lies a complete ballet that echoes the theme and foreshadows its tragic conclusion. The ballet tells the Hans Christian Andersen tale of enchanted shoes that dance their wearer to death. Yeah, it's quite something. It says a wordless drama by turns hallucinatory and Hitchcockian. It is. It's fascinating. The Red Shoes. See that if you haven't. Okay. Well, sort of speaking of vintage things, this next piece inspired by a vintage event that was printed on a card that was framed on a wall, and I added some other poetry to it. I thought it was kind of poetic in its way, but I added to that. It was this is from my club sandwich collection, as I'm calling it, at the Short Hills Club, in this case, 86 years later, Short Hills, New Jersey, May 2019, which is also the town I grew up in. There will be dancing at the club Tuesday evening, February 21st, 1933, $1. Supper may be ordered a la carte, but it is not included in the charge for dancing. Time machine and dancing pumps required, otherwise come informally and nostalgically. There you have it. Okay. I found this delightful poem. It's a slightly longer one, but I just couldn't resist including it, so I am. It's by a poet I don't know, Cornelius Eady, E-A-D-Y. Victims of the latest dance craze. The streamers choking the main arteries of downtown. The brass band led by a child from the home for the handicapped. The old men showing their hair, what's left of it, the buttons of their shirts popping in time to the salsa flooding out of their portable headphones, and mothers letting their babies be held by strangers, and the bus drivers taping over their fare boxes and willing to give directions. Is there any reason to mention all the drinks are in the house? Thick adolescent boys dismantle their BB guns. Here is the world, what's left of it, in brilliant motion. The oil slick at the curb danced into 1,000 splintered steps. The bag ladies toss off their garments to reveal wings. This dance you do, drawls the cop. What do you call it? We call it scolding the air. We call it dying with your shoes on. And across the street, the bodies of tramps stumble in a sober language. And across the street, shy young girls step behind their nameless boyfriends, twirling their skirts. And under an archway, a delivery boy discovers his body has learned to speak. And what does this street look like if not a runway, a polished wood floor? From the air, insects drawn by the sweat alight, when possible on the blur of torsos. It is the ride of their tiny lives. The wind that burns their wings, the heaving oblivious flesh, mountains stuffed with panic, and ocean that can't make up its mind. They drop away with the scorched taste of vertigo. And under a swinging light bulb, some children invent a game with the shadow the bulb makes and the beat of their hearts. They call it dust in the mouth. They call it horse with no rider. They call it school with empty books. In the next room, their mother throws her dress away to chance. It drops to the floor like a brush sighs across a drumhead. And when she takes her lover, what are they thinking of if not a ballroom filled with mirrors, a world where no one has the right to stumble? In a parking lot, an old man says this, I'm a ghost dance. I remember the way my hair felt, damp with sweat and wind. When the wind kisses the leaves, I am dancing. When the subway hits the third rail, I am dancing. When the barrel goes over Niagara Falls, I am dancing. Music rings my bones like metal. Oh, jazz has come from the heavens, he says, and at the Z he jumps, arcing his back like a heron's neck, and stands suddenly revealed as a balance demon, a home for Stetson hats. We have all caught the itch. The neon artist wiring up his legs, the tourist couple recording the twist on their Instamatic camera, and in a factory a janitor asks his broom for a waltz, and he grasps it like a woman he'd have to live another life to meet, and he spins around the dustbin and machines and thinks, is everybody happy? And he spins out the side door, avoiding the cracks in the sidewalk, grinning as if he'd just received the deepest kiss in the world. Wonderful. Thank you, Cornelius, Edie, victims of the latest dance craze. Wouldn't you like to be a victim of that? Why not? From Medium.com, Understanding Different Cultures Through Dance. This is from 22 West Magazine. 20th century American choreographer Martha Graham once said that, quote, dance is the hidden language of the soul. That's beautiful. I had not heard that before. Read that. Nearly 30 years after her death, this sentiment still holds true. There's a video of two hip-hop dancers currently circulating the internet. One is Colombian, the other is Japanese, and they do not speak the same language, but they're able to come together to choreograph a dance. They communicate counts and movements by clicking their tongues, physically moving the other's limbs, and smiling when they like what they see. The end result is a wonderfully choreographed dance. Well, I have to go see that sometime and have a chance to look that up before the show. But I will. Alice Corbin Henderson from Indian Songs, Buffalo Dance. Strike ye our land with curved horns. Now with cries bending our bodies, breathe fire upon us. Now with feet trampling the earth, let your hoofs thunder over us. Strike ye our land with curved horns. But that, thank you, Alice Henderson, for bringing us that. Ophelia Zepeda, Deer Dance Exhibition. Question: can you tell us about what he is wearing? Well, the hooves represent the deer's hooves. The red scarf represents the flowers from which he ate. The shawl is for skin. The cocoons make the sound of the deer walking on leaves and grass. Listen. Question: what is that he is beating on? It's a gourd drum, like the drum represents the heartbeat of the deer. Listen. When the drum beats, it brings the deer to life. We believe the water the drum sits in is holy. It is life. Go ahead, touch it. Bless yourself with it. It is holy. You are safe now. Question: how does the boy become a dancer? He just knows. His mother said he had dreams when he was just a little boy. You know how that happens. He just had it in him. Then he started working with older men who taught him how to dance. He has made many sacrifices for his dancing, even for just a young boy. The people concur. Yes, you can see it in his face. Question: what do they do with the money we throw them? Oh, they just split it among the singers and dancer. They will probably take the boy to McDonald's for a burger and fries. The men will probably have a cold one. It's hot today, you know. Deer Dance Exhibition. Thank you. Gracias, Ophelia Zepeda. Clifford Franklin Gessler, Star Dancers. Rongo told me how, when a boy, he lay in a pandanus thicket on the night of the stars, and saw the maidens of his tribe, with eloquent arms tossing, dancing nude in the starlight the ancient rite of the stars, heard over the obligato of the tropic night, old women chanting the ancient prayer to the stars, and how the spear of a sudden terror pierced him, so that he shrieked and fled, and came no more to the sacred hollow between mountain and sea. And I thought, in the night of stars, if I could be a girl, brown and straight-limbed, flower-garlanded, dancing in holy nakedness under the sky, the ancient, undecipherable rune of the stars. Or, at the last, an old woman, weary with wisdom, chanting with hollow notes of gourd drums the old obscure litany of the sky. I might be comforted and dream no more of gardens impossible and afar, or the cool silence of moon pools of forgetfulness, and the dim, intolerable vision of forbidden peace. Thank you, Clifford Franklin Gessler, new to me. Well, I opened the show for us with nature dancing in its ways, in this case, the old apple trees. Well, here are some others that I witnessed. East Hampton, New York, July 2001, the catbirds. Black-berets, branch dancers, who move so quietly and cat-like from limb to limb, then pause to sing a jaunty song before bucking and winging off behind the green and gold-tipped curtain of trees. From the Yucatan, the Mayan coast of Mexico, 1998, the sandpipers, printing the sandpaper with tiny fleur-de-lis, dancing by the water's edge on pygmy twigs and stilts, Hibernian in dress and dint, these little sporrans with highland-flinging wings, though more peeping than piping. On the old Dodge estate, Madison, New Jersey, September 2017, Danse des libellules, Dance of the Dragonflies. A corps de ballet de campagne. They dance with abandon and precision by the hundreds, over the waving stage of goldenrod and rust-red switchgrass, over the milkweed and pale blue chicory blossoms, for an open-air audience of one quietly passionate praiser of nature. It was me praising, as we must, I think, those dances of all kinds around us. This is one from the northwest woods of East Hampton, New York, early October 2018, La Danse Verte, the green dance. The lines of evergreens, youngest and smallest to oldest and tallest, on stage, en pointe, in the clear autumn light dappling through the parting clouds, in the cool autumn air flowing round their outstretched limbs, all dancing. This woodland morning, not crackerly or balancinely, just naturally, and so ecstatically, and so lightly as if they might lift off in a breath from the earth, so evergreenly as if to say with their gesturing, rapturing bows, this is aliveness. Okay, I'm going to pass on that so we have more time. What about the unexpected dance or dances you've had that lit up your being? Well, this was one of mine. Back in May of 2018 in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, at the Michelangelo's Mouth Poetry on the Plate dinner. It was an immersive event that I created, and I was there to dance too. I wasn't just there to present everything, curate it. This is dedicated to Iona MacLeod. Up in the MacLeods is where I met her, when she and her sky-wide spirit and bare, brave shoulders floated into the evening, where there was such feasting, much laughter, streams of music and stories, even dancing, hand to eye to heart, where everything, my body, the scenery, suddenly felt so much lighter than air. Toast out to her, Iona MacLeod, up in the MacLeods, and that line, Skywide Spirit, that was S-K-Y-E, obviously a double play, because she was from the island of Skye, Scotland. Malcolm Cowley has this poem, Barn Dance. He had been happy thinking she might love him, and whistled at his ploughing all the day, but now, while the dancers stamped and scraped above him, on the barn floor, he lay below in silence among the cattle on a pile of hay. He had dressed quickly when his work was over and watched the guests stroll toward him up the lane, but she came smiling with another lover. Hurt and ashamed, he stole off from the dancers like a whipped dog to blubber out his pain. He breathed more calmly, hearing the insistence of horses munching fodder, and he grew indifferent to the fiddles in the distance, to womankind, and to his disappointment down here among the cattle that he knew. Thank you, Malcolm Cowley. Very tender. Thank you. From shondaland.com, Shondaland, The surprising psychological benefits of dance therapy. Get an overall sense of well-being through dancing it out. When a group of psychologists from the UK visited Rwandan villagers to help heal genocidal trauma through talk therapy, the psychologists were soon after asked to leave. For Rwandan genocide survivors, rehashing their traumatic memories to a stranger while sitting in tiny rooms with no sunlight didn't heal their wounds at all. It just poured salt on them, forcing them to relive the trauma over and over again. That wasn't their idea of healing. They were used to singing and dancing beneath the sun and sing to spirited drumming while surrounded by friends. That's how they healed from trauma and other mental ailments. The Rwandans aren't alone. For thousands of years and in multiple cultures, dance has been used as a communal, ritualistic healing force, from the Lakota sun dance to the Sufi whirling dervishes to the Vimbuza healing dance of the Tumbuka people in northern Malawi. The field of psychology codified the healing power of dance through an expressive therapy modality known as dance/movement therapy, DMT, developed by American dancer and choreographer Marianne Chase, CHACE, way back in 1942. The body doesn't lie, says dance movement and creative arts therapist Nana Koch. The first communication we have in our lives is one in which we're moving, so we're really going back to the essence of what basic communication is all about, and we're using dance and the patterns of people's movements to help them externalize their emotional lives. Well, how about that? The thought artist, Zadie Smith, on what writers can learn from some of history's greatest dancers. This is from her book, Feel Free. Lovely book. What can an art of words take from the art that needs none? Yet I often think I've learned as much from watching dancers as I have from reading. Dance lessons for writers, lessons of position, attitude, rhythm, and style, some of them obvious, some indirect. Fred Astaire represents the aristocracy when he dances, claimed Gene Kelly in old age, and I represent the proletariat. The distinction is immediately satisfying, though it's a little harder to say why. Tall, thin, and elegant versus muscular and athletic. Is that it? There's the obvious matter of top hats and tails versus T-shirt and slacks, but Fred sometimes wore T-shirts and slacks and was not actually that tall. He only stood as if he were, and when moving always appears elevated to be skimming across whichever surface, the floor, the ceiling, an ice rink, a bandstand. Gene's center of gravity was far lower. He bends his knees, he hunkers down. Kelly is grounded, firmly planted, where Astaire is untethered, free-floating. Likewise, the aristocrat and the proletariat have different relations to the ground beneath their feet. The first moving fluidly across the surface of the world, the second specifically tethered to a certain spot, a city block, a village, a factory, a stretch of fields. When I write, I feel there's usually a choice to be made between the grounded and the floating. Thank you, Zadie Smith. Good words. Friedrich Nietzsche, philosopher, said, one must have chaos within oneself if one is to be a dancing star. I think he meant star in the heavens, of course, but that's quite a line. What do you think about that? Something worth musing on. Maybe you'll chew on that too. The famous Mikhail Baryshnikov and his line, I do not try to dance better than anyone else. I only try to dance better than myself. Yes. Gotta let go of all that self-consciousness, friends. No matter what we're doing. Dancing included. Mary Edgar Comstock, the dancer. He leaps upon the stage like a flash of fire, his head glittering with gold plumes that restlessly sway. Half a turn, and he waves his arm like a willow branch asleep in a spring wind. A leap like a shaft of forked lightning. His shoulders shine smooth before the footlights. He turns rapidly upon 5 crimson toes, suddenly stops, quivers to contemplate the high note of a violin. Dreamily he half closes his shadowed eyes, turns, and is gone. The dancer. Thank you, Mary Edgar Comstock. Lorraine Nidecker, watching dancers on skates. 10,000 women and I, the only one in boots. Life's dance. They meet. He holds her leg up. Thank you, Lorraine Nidecker. Yes, those moments we've beheld the poetry of other bodies in beautiful, lyrical, dancing motion. Yes. there's a poem. I'm not going to share it tonight because I want to keep us in time here, in desired time for me and you. But there's a poem by Elizabeth Hobbs, Hobbs. You can find it at poetryfoundation.org. Slow Dancing on the Highway, the Trip North. Another kind of tango altogether. That feeling of your heart in a magical dance with another. This was one of mine, Central Park, New York City, during my time there, my many decades there. September 1997, our pas de deux in the park. Warm hand pulls warm hand over the smooth wooden bridge to catch the firelight, the sunset heating window panes across the mum-dusk water, orange eyes dilating to torches that dance and depart, crickets castanetting in the treetops, and the last of the fireflies lighting the path in this leafy green flamenco night as we pas de deux in the park. There's another one from DeGraw Street. So many poems flowed during my 4 different poet in residencies there over a couple of years. Cobble Hill, Brooklyn, May 2016. Paso doble. El beso, mi amor. Of bodies, of lips, ripe, rhythmic, con pasión. Hearts meeting, beating doubly. Your bull in the ring, my ram, but no fighting. Only dancing, only loving. Sombreros y mantillas, mi amor. Of violet feelings, scarlet flowers. I was musing on the dances we wish we could have had, or kept having. This was one of those moments of musing in May of 2017. I was in Morristown at that point, New Jersey, in the wee hours of the heart, in the quiet, wondering dark, where unbidden feelings arise, unhidden feelings float, are freely felt, where you ponder the life choices you made, the possibilities you unmade, the chances you might have taken, the dances you left undanced, the dance partner who once held out an open hand, an open heart, a whole future to you. And here's a self-portrait poem, I guess we could say. July 2016. A Goedecke is an instrumental man whose music plays when the rosined wheel of his heart rubs against the limber strings of his discoverings. A man of many keys, melodies, constant pitch, often buzzing bridge, whose songs speak of sweet longings, long ago worlds, hidden wonders, wandering minstrel dreams, dancing memories. Gerald Stern, The Dancing. In all these rotten shops, in all this broken furniture and wrinkled ties and baseball trophies and coffee pots, I have never seen a post-war filka with the automatic eye, nor heard Ravel's Bolero the way I did in 1945 in that tiny living room on Beechwood Boulevard, nor danced as I did then, my knives all flashing, my hair all streaming, my mother red with laughter, my father cupping his left hand under his armpit, doing the dance of old Ukraine, the sound of his skin half drum, half fart, the world at last a meadow, the three of us whirling and singing, the three of us screaming and falling as if we were dying, as if we could never stop. In 1945, in Pittsburgh, beautiful, filthy Pittsburgh, home of the evil melons, 5,000 miles away from the other dancing, in Poland and Germany. O God of mercy, O wild God. Thank you, Gerald Stern. That's from his collection, This Time. Jeff Daniel Marion, 78 RPM. In the back of the junk house, stacked on a card table covered by a ragged bedspread, they rest. Black platters whose music once crackled, hissed with a static like shuffling feet, foxtrot or two-step, the slow dance of the needle riding its merry-go-round. My mother's head nestled on my father's shoulder as they turned, lost in the sway of sounds, summer nights, and faraway places, the syncopation of time, waltzing them to a world they never dreamed, dance of then to the dust of now. Thank you, Jeff, Daniel, Marianne. And now coming toward our last sharings and musings for this week, John Gould Fletcher, The Dancers in the Plaza, Santo Domingo. Let my feet touch the gray earth, touch the gray earth. Let my hands wave boughs, green-feathered, soft, immortal. Let mine eyes droop to the ground, lids be lowered, feeling earth tremble under many thudding feet. Let my forehead heap gray clouds, soft as feathers, stirring, seething, over the blue mountain range afar. Let my breath bid them come closer, rising to thunder, blue clouds darkening, gray drift over the corn stalks bowed. Let my lips salute the rain, as the sunlight blazes, wavers over the long stamping lines of the dancers in the plaza. Earth that keeps its pact with sky, life's long drum beat, heat that smolders, melted down to speechless stone. Thank you, John Gould Fletcher. Dancing barefoot, in and on and with deeper nature, always to be encouraged, any chance you may get. This was hiking through East Brothers Island, the Inside Passage, Southeast Alaska, July 2009, moss dancing. We used the moss as stepping stones in the old-growth forest, then bare our feet to slow dance with more feeling on the yielding green cushions, pillows, and mattresses that caress our souls with silently primal softness, coolness. A dancing memory and wishes for that dancing partner decades ago. Very recently, this was dedicated to Mick Menard on her 50th birthday, February of this year. I recall a dancer and a dance, a tall woman, tall of body, tall of beauty, tall of spirit, dancing with such passionate exuberance, who I feel sure through the years since has moved and swayed with as much elation, and in all those yet to come will shimmer on across the dance floor of this wildly inviting life, with nothing less than her abundant zest, her ascendant grace, her most ardent desire. Love out to her, Mick Menard, wherever she may be right now, or whenever she might listen to this. Joyful woman. An anecdote from Ron Bresnik on his Substack. Dance like everyone is watching. Superman is an Absoluki rapper and fancy dancer. He founded the Native American hip-hop group Resurrection. He says, they say to dance like nobody is watching. I think that implies that we're afraid or ashamed to dance in front of the people. I say dance like everybody is watching. Dance like your children are watching, your ancestors, your family. Dance for those who are hurting, those who can't dance, those who have lost loved ones, and those who suffer injustices throughout the world. Let every step be a prayer for humanity. Most of all, dance for the Creator who breathed into your soul so you may celebrate this gift of life. Wonderful, wonderful to find that. Philip Booth, the dancer. The dancer mended sheep and tended fences. He was a hung-up friend to men, a lover. Balancing love, he loved to call the dances. No one ever turned his record over. He was a prince among the farmer princes. He square-danced wallflowers out of doubt and reeled Virginias into a consensus until the line he loved was all reeled out. They named a dance for him in the dancing book. Ducking the oyster, solo, he dove for the clam. Who, they asked, is our best dancer? It took one hell of a dance for him to dance. I am. Wonderful. Richard Grossinger said, let us pray not to tribal gods who provide only false and prideful triumphalism and xenophobia, good against evil, them against us, but to the dancing spirits within, as they hold nameless truth in their generosity. Let us pray to be liberated into boundless mercy and love. On Long Beach, Long Island, I composed this September 2021 for my dear friend, soul sister Rachel, and her husband Douglas on their 19th anniversary. May I have this dance? Each year, each day, you say, in words or without words, to each other, and take another turn, dip, twirl on life's dance floor, arms gently, knowingly, assuringly around each other, eyes gazing openly, tenderly upon the other, as the deeper music of your worlds, your beating hearts, plays. As you move together, freely glide and lead and follow, dance together in every present, into any future. Love out to them. Next to last, after closing, New York City, March 2001. After closing, when all the customers have left and all the chairs sit upside down on the tabletops and the ovens in the kitchen have cooled off, 2 chefs, still in their tall white toques, tunics, and long pants, step without words into the small, low-lit dining room. One to sit at the piano by the Dijon-colored wall, the other, as nimble fingers begin to fall on the keys, to take the hand and waist of the last waitress in her white apron black dress, and dance together after closing. And last for now, till we're together again, here, over the airwaves, from Kitchell Pond, Loantuga Brook Reservation, Convent Station, New Jersey, late October 2016, a wild invitation to dance. The autumn wind is having its way today, boistering around the pond, affirming its ability to not just rustle the curling cattail grasses and quiver the skin of the water, but bend the broad limbs of all the trees, young and old, from the widest to the tallest and stateliest oaks and elms that have stood gracefully here for generations, and move entire mountains and masses of clouds through the Watteau blue sky. The land knows the wind, maybe loves it on days like this, as a way to make music, as a wild invitation, a fresh chance to sway, to dance. Thank you again for leaning in, thinking and feeling in, for sharing this dance card tonight. And thank you for any time you share this and other show links with your friends or post them out to your social media. It's the best way for new listeners to find their way here. I do invite your comments, of course, from listening. I'm ever curious to know how things land in your mind's ear and your heart's ear. I also hope now or later you'll consider financially supporting, whether modestly or generously, these free weekly broadcasts I create to meaningfully infuse your days and deepen your musings and your good wonderings. If there's a theme you'd like to see me base a future broadcast on, send an email, colin@thepoetorialist.com. And what about your experience of this show? Shall we dance? And if, by the way, you are making a contribution, thank you so much. You can do that by Venmo to Fivefold, Fivefold, at pipeline.com, or by PayPal to the same email, or simply mail a check to me, P.O. Box 1032, Westerly, Rhode Island, 02891, or just donate through my site, thepoetorialist.com, and the Donate tab. For those new to listening, patrons can, at times, privately host or sponsor me as a working poet in residence in the U.S. or beyond to create a new flight of poetic art and dedicate it to that patron or sponsor. If that's you, email me to explore. Meanwhile, you can hear all the broadcasts online on YouTube on the Floating Poetry playlist. And you can, if you're intrigued, explore the one-of-a-kind oasis of regenesis I'm guiding for seekers of greater aliveness and possibility, the poetosphere.com. It's all about vitalizing your being. Meanwhile, I hope you'll lean in here soon again over the airwaves. Until then, dear listeners, may your mind and body, your spirit, your soul sway, dance often, with joy and with great abandon. Life's dance floor is always open. And friends, may you witness dancing of all other and beautiful, memorable kinds in your lives, in your travels, in your waking and dreaming moments. from the nightly dance of the constellations to the vast dance of the oceans, the ballets of the animal kingdom to the timeless dance of humanity. Good night for now, and good spirits.